Hey everyone, sorry for the delay. I meant to get this up yesterday and I didn't. So, no excuses. I just didn't get it done. So, I had received a few questions, so I'll go over those quickly. The one question that was submitted was a request for a study guide for the final. We won't have a study guide per se, but we'll actually do a practice final exam the week before the final. So, that's kind of the study guide. It'll be questions very similar to what we have. And I think we already have a live session scheduled that week. So we'll go over questions and whatnot through the exam. I might just go through some of the questions in that session, and I'll record it for people that can't come. No worries. And that's that. So there won't be a specific study guide, but there really will be because we're actually going to have a practice exam, which will give you the ideas of what the questions will be like. So I had a couple questions on last week's assignment from Module 3, the debt financing assignment. So let me bring up the answers here. Let me see if I can make this bigger so everyone can see. Okay, so I had questions on problem 2. And it looks like all the questions were all kind of related to the same issue. So question on problem 2, there was a question on B and C. So this was about Twin Oaks Health Center, bond issue outstanding. Coupon rate was 7%, 4 years remaining to maturity. Par value of the bond was $1,000, and the bond pays interest annually. So that was the base of the question, obviously. And A was pretty straightforward to determine the current value of the bond, etc. Once we get to question B, number B, letter B, whatever it is, it's now suppose Twin Oaks 4-year bond had semi-annual coupon payments. So twice a year. What would the current rate or what would the current value be? Same. So obviously our present value equation, same situation, but we have instead of, let me see if I can, no, I guess my system doesn't give me, you'll just have to follow my cursor here. Hopefully you can see it. But so this is our answer to B. Instead of 4 payments, which is what we have here, for this initial one, this was our annual coupon. This is now a semi-annual coupon. So we have 8 payments instead of 4, but it cuts the payment in half. So here we had annual coupon payment $70 4 times for the 4 years. Here we have semi-annual coupon payment $35 for 8 times. And obviously it doesn't make a huge difference in the value, but it does a little bit. You'll see it's a $5.04 difference. As we get down to question C, that there was also a question on, let's go back up to what the question it says itself. Assume that semi-annual coupon, so again, remember that twice a year, but 20 years remaining to maturity. So then we go down to our answer here, interest rate 7, semi-annual on a 20-year bond would be 40 coupon payments. So 40 payments at, again, that $35 value, $70 par value. So the bond value is $533.39. So hopefully it seemed that all 3 of those questions, or all 2 of these, and actually the next one we'll look at, had to do with, I wish I could draw a circle, but this semi-annual periods to payment or periods to maturity and the semi-annual coupon payments. So hopefully that's makes sense now. That's likely where you went wrong on that question. And we'll see the same thing here. Question or problem 3, question B. So Tidewater Home Health, bond issue outstanding, 8 years remaining to maturity, coupon rate 10%, interest paid annually, par value $1,000. We know what the current bond value is. So down here, again, like in the initial, we have the 8 years to maturity, annual coupon payment $100. Down here, we have the semi-annual periods to maturity. So instead of 8, we now have 16 because it's twice a year. And then the coupon payment goes from 100 to 50 because it's twice a year. Still $100 a year, but $50 per payment. So that was the difference there. And you'll see that it's 5.96 here. Now what we're looking at here, and this is where some folks went awry. as well. So yield to maturity is 3%. That's our calculation, but that's the semi-annual yield to maturity. So we need to multiply that by 2 because the yield to maturity is stated as an annual rate. So 3 times 2 is 6. Another problem that somebody had, nobody asked to talk about it here on the session, but I will mention, make sure, so if, let me see if it works here. If I type 5.96%, that's not going to work. So if you do a calculation, let me see if I can even, maybe I can get this to work for me here. Yeah, so that's a good example. So what I did here, and let me blow this up so you can see it. Actually, maybe I'll do it again so everyone can see. So here is this rate calculation. You can see the answer is 5.96%. So all I'm going to do is copy this rate calculation here. Oops, got to get rid of that text marker. So I'm going to copy it into this box here. And I'm just hitting Command V, and you'll see it comes up as 6%. Because it's rounding up, we need to make sure our numbers are set at percentage with 2. And if you just go, at least on my machine, this is a Mac, it might not work with Excel, depending on what version of Excel you have, or if you're using a PC. I only have to go up and click, you go drop into this drop down, click percentage, and it'll show me the percentage with 2 decimal points. But there was some questions about, well, it says 6, why isn't it 6? Well, because Excel is defaulting, unfortunately, to a round number. So we want to make sure that our percentages are always in 2 decimal points, and that's why you'll see down here the percentage is set at 3.00. So we always want those 2 decimal points there for those. So hopefully that clears up questions on that one. There was also a question this week. There's not, I'm going to give away an answer here, not really a big deal. We let you take these quizzes as many times as you want, so I'm not so concerned about it. But there was a question about how to do one of the calculations for this week. And unfortunately, there's similar things in the practice questions this week, but there isn't one exactly the same. So I'll review it here, and obviously you'll see the answers. So feel free to fill them in if you haven't gotten this one right. But hopefully it'll help to clear up questions about this one. So the question was Medical Corporation of America, current stock price. So this is obviously week 4, problem, question 2. It's problem number 2. There were several questions from this week. It's listed as problem number 2. If I had to take a guess, let me look quickly here at the quiz itself. It might be, no, that's not what I want. Sorry. It might be listed as question 1 in the actual quiz. Jeepers. Touchy touchpad today. Heavy fingers, one or the other. There we go. So it is actually, it's actually question 1 for you guys. On your spreadsheet, it will show up as question, it'll say problem 2, but it's the first question in your quiz. So Medical Corporation of America, current stock price of $36, last dividend, and the dividend is D0, was $2.40. Sorry, I'm getting text messages coming through. In view of MCA's strong financial position, required rate of return is 12%. And our required rate of return is that. So down here for our calculations, we have D0, which is our dividend, RRS, which is our required rate of return. If MCA's dividends are expected to grow at a constant into the future, what is the firm's expected stock price in 5 years? So our other element of so here we have our equation for constant for the constant growth rate, because that's what we're looking for here. We want to know the constant growth rate for this particular stock, and then we're able to calculate that out for the expected stock price in 5 years. So we have our dividend, which was $2.40 up here. We have our required rate of return, which is 12%. We also need for our calculation, you'll see we need the P0, which is our current stock price, $36. And then we're calculating for EG. So the calculation, obviously, we want to plug in, and there isn't a specific I don't believe we have a specific calculation in here for it. Yeah, we don't. So we have to kind of create our own here. So we have P0 times, so we have, I'll just say words, it's easier. We have the current stock price multiplied by the required rate of return, and that is going to be minus the last dividend. And all of that is going to be divided by the last dividend plus the current stock price. So that is our calculation. And I don't have my textbook here in front of me, but if anyone wants to know where to find that in the text, let me know. I'll pull the textbook out and I'll give you the page and the information that's in the textbook. But so you'll see here, we have C23, which is our current stock price, multiplied by C22, which is our required rate of return. And once we do that, we're going to minus the C21, which is our last dividend. And that whole formula divided by the dividend plus the current stock price. So that'll give us our current constant growth rate, which is 5%. Now, I'm sure you're like, oh, I hate math. I thought we were just supposed to be doing these fancy formulas that Excel has to offer. What I find helpful, especially for people that are, I don't want to say more my age because I don't think any of you are my age, but for people that perhaps learned algebra at a time before Common Core. What I do with these things, rather than trying to map it out in Excel first, I'll grab a piece of paper and I'll be like, okay, I might do this. So I might calculate, or I might lay everything out like this. Okay, I know my formula says I need P0, it needs required rate of return, I need my dividend, I need all of that stuff. So I might put them in a little block on the screen like this, and then knowing what my blocks are now, okay, I know this is C21, I know this is C22, then I might go to paper and I'll be like, okay, so I need P0 times RS. Okay, so that's going to be C23 times C22. And I'll write it out on paper. If you're a younger person, I know we have a lot of younger folks in here, perhaps when you learned these types of equations, you may have done it on a computer or you may have done it in a more electronic format. So you might be more comfortable just mapping it out here just like this. So do whichever makes best sense to you. When it comes to algebra for me, because this is just a simple algebraic equation, it looks super complex. But as long as you know what every one of these elements is, then you're good to go and you can go right ahead and plug them in. So whichever works best for you, is easiest for you for doing those algebraic type equations, I would suggest to do that. If you're not a math person, and honestly, I'm not a math person. I'm a finance person, but math is certainly not my favorite thing to do. So that's why I'm not an accountant. So, but it sometimes can make better sense if you plop it on a piece of paper. It can help you to kind of reason it out, because really what all algebra is about is logic. They're logic questions, and instead of having to do all of this by longhand, which I know I've talked to some of you and you prefer to do it that way, that's perfectly fine. Like right here, we have the longhand equation, and you can certainly do it that way. But I would recommend getting comfortable with the spreadsheets. If you're working as a leader in a healthcare organization, they're going to be handing you spreadsheets to interpret. And if you were, let's say they handed you a spreadsheet and you saw that this came out at like 12%, and you're like, I know that that's not 12%. Like, that's crazy. That's way too high. Then you can actually look at the equation and be like, well, you've got the wrong numbers in the wrong spot, or you've got something going wacky there. So hopefully that helps. If you want to talk through any of these types of equations, if you're unsure what to plug where or what some of the letters mean in the equation, just let me know. I'm happy to help. So that's our first part. Now we have our growth weight, our constant growth rate. And so under those assumptions, stock prices increase each year at that growth rate. So EG is going to be our constant growth rate. We have our current rate. So we have up here current stock price of $36. So we'll plug that in as P0. Then we have our constant growth rate, which is that 5%, and our N here is 5 years because we want to know what the growth rate or what the how the growth rate will impact the stock price. So in 5 years, how much would that stock be worth? So we're going to do a future value, so we can use the future value equation of our the constant growth rate, the number of years, and then our current rate, and that gives you 45.95 there. So that's how you do that. It's kind of a two-piece equation. One, we have to use a more manual equation, and then one we can use the future value formula within the actual Excel document or Excel spreadsheet. But you can also calculate it out, with just longhand as well if you prefer to do that. And it's just 36 times the percentage times 5, and it's 45.95. So hopefully that helps. Those were the only questions I got. So if you have any other questions, reach out. I'm happy to answer questions. I'm happy to get on get on a Zoom with you at a different time. We will hold our replacement Zoom this coming Wednesday, and then we'll also hold one the Wednesday after because I did miss that one this week. Hoping that things slow down a little bit for me. They should be slowing down because I'll be submitting my resignation this Wednesday. So, but I will be there for another month, so it's hard to say. But hopefully things will slow down a little bit there, and that's it. So, any questions, like I said, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, I will see everyone in the classroom, and I'll see you all next Wednesday. Thanks.